Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to today's avian home adventure. This is Colleen here speaking. We have our curator, Kristen, who will be coming out with a bird in a second. Our king vulture. Her name is Pishi or Pishi Matakoa. So we have this playground here that she uses. She comes out and she hops along it. And it's really great for a lot of our keeper talks that we do here on site when we're open to the public, and also just practicing behind the scenes. So the story with this and how we developed this playground here is we frequently take her, our king vulture, out on walks. And Kristen, our curator, started noticing how much that she started walking around on little logs, hopping around, and really seeming to enjoy her time out on these walks. And so it was such a great private experience for us as her trainers to witness. And we thought, oh, this would be really great for other guests to get to experience too. So we built this little structure. I see Ernie's on here who helped out with that process. So thank you, Ernie. And we have her come out and do little talks with the public. It's a really great way to see her up close and to see a lot of natural behaviors that vultures have. So they commonly spend a lot of time on the ground hopping around. They have these amazing flat feet that they'll use to just hop and walk and just spend a lot more time on the ground or perched. So you'll notice Kristen is feeding her. So what she is doing is reinforcing behaviors that she would like her to do. So we train our birds with positive reinforcement here, which means that every time they do a behavior that we would like them to do, that we ask them to do, that she'll receive some type of reinforcement for doing that behavior. So this bird has all the choice in the world to go wherever she wants. We get a lot of questions about why does that bird not fly away? Why does she choose to stay here? And we get that with a lot of our show birds as well. And the reason for that is because of this history of positive reinforcement training and the trust that we can build between trainers and our birds. So it takes a lot of time and a lot of consistency to train behaviors. And some birds are a little bit easier, I would say, to train than others. They're all individuals, but birds like vultures and some of our corvids, like our ravens, our magpie, they are super smart, and so they pick up on things very quickly. Hi Jennifer, hope you're doing okay. What region is this vulture from? She's very unique looking. Yeah, so these guys are a South American species, so she has a lot of colorful stripes on her head. They are South American, and they are some of the larger vultures down there. The only one that's really larger than them in South America is the Andean condor. So she's fairly big. Kristen, do you know how much she weighs? You don't remember? She's a good size bigger than our turkey vultures and our black vultures here. This is also really great enrichment for her. So when we train our birds, it's very stimulating for them. And when we can train to bring them out into new environments, change up their scenes, the scenery, it's really great for them. So she can come out here and bird watch. She can look around, hopping around, getting also that physical exercise as well. So you'll notice that Kristen might be giving like a little hand signal to her to ask her to come to different perches. So that signal is what we would call a cue. So it's asking for a behavior, or asking her to make a choice to come over to her in this case, or over to that perch. And then when she does that, Kristen she'll bridge, which means she's marking the behavior that she'd like. So her coming over to this perch, like she just did there. And then she follows that up with a quick reinforcement or quick treat. There are different things that can be reinforcing for our birds. So there are things that are called primary reinforcers that are what they need to survive. So things like food, shelter, water, and even the choice and control that they have is a primary reinforcer. And so by utilizing all of those things, we can hope that behaviors will occur again. She's made her way to the ground here, so I think Kristen's going to try to reset her. It might be time for her to go home. There we go. What is her favorite treat or food? Let's see. Mostly probably what, mouse, rat, quail?
Yeah, she does not like chicken. So a lot of our birds do get chicken and she is not a fan of it. So she just doesn't eat it. So we don't give it to her.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, so our birds have a variety of food options, diet options throughout the week. We have mouse days, we have quail days, we have chicken days. We also have beef heart, which is a recent thing that we did. Some of our birds absolutely love it. So we cut it up into pieces and use it as a reinforcer for them. And it looks like Pishi's on her way home. So I think it's so cool how we can bring our birds out and they willingly come out and they willingly go back into their home. So I think that is a great sign of the relationships that we build and the training that we work really hard on. So Pishi also knows about a room behavior here. I'll see if I can get a little closer without disturbing her. So this room is really important for cleaning, for any kind of shifting movement we need to do if somebody needs to get in and do some maintenance on her enclosure, fix a perch, fix some siding or some roofing material. And so she's learned to go in and out of this room and gets food reinforcement for it. If you guys have any questions, feel free to pop those down into the comment box below. Cool. So I'm sure she'll come out in a second. She's in there gobbling up her, her food. I think it's really fun as a bystander here to just watch her. You can almost see the wheels turn in what she's thinking about, whether she's going to perform a behavior or not. And we of course don't know what they're thinking, but we can assume based on their body language and how much they participate what's really going on in their head.
She's speaking on her.
Oh, she's... I wonder if I can get over there to see. Oh, she is. So we have these Kong toys. It's another part of enrichment. So enrichment is just something that will stimulate a natural behavior. It can be an object. It could be something like a training session. It could be adding something to an enclosure. There's so many different types of enrichment. So she uses Kong that she has decided makes a really great surface for feeking. So feeking is a natural behavior that birds do to really clean off their beak. It also will file down or smooth out the beak, but the main purpose is to use it basically like a human would use a napkin after they eat a large meal. It tells us that she is comfortable enough to do that in front of us because that could be a very vulnerable state for us, but it also tells us that she's probably really full at this point. She's finished with her meal.
Vultures are also cool because they speak their entire head, and that's probably because the vultures stick their entire head inside a carcass, so it's really fun to watch her rub the back of her head on surfaces.
And then she just let out a huge yawn and feeking more.
Also, that little noise that she's making is sort of helps her digestion, so she's sort of like salivating.
Well, she's out of the picture frame now. She's just found more space. She's such a goofball. I love watching her. And she's just hanging out below here now. She definitely recognizes the different trainers on staff here when we're walking by. You can tell that she's interested in what we're doing and approaching us. So vultures are fairly solitary. I'm sure you guys notice in your backyards and around your communities large gatherings of black and turkey vultures, and that's because they're more social. They'll take turns like tag teaming carcasses and really gobbling up dead things on the side of the road as well. She is feeding on everything in her enclosure. I don't think I've seen her do it this much. This is really hilarious. Just very interactive. Something we like to do in her enclosure is switch out different logs that we put in there. She'll go in there and tear them up and kind of walk across them. There's also this brush in there, if you guys can see it, that yellow brush. That's another kind of textured thing. Of course, she's using the opposite side of it. So that's also enrichment, that different texture that she could go and feel. So that'd be more of like a tactile enrichment. I like how she's avoiding it completely though. Yeah. So sometimes our enrichment doesn't go to plan. You know, in our head, it sounds like a great idea and you can spend so much time trying to come up with a concept and then they might not even want to use it or use it how you think that they would. And that's okay. So sometimes the simpler the item that we might make or the concept that we have, the better. Thank you, Rosie, for donating. We really appreciate it. Somebody said, these birds must be so endearing to you. I would just want to hug them, but I suppose that would not be a sign of affection. I don't know if I can read the rest of that comment on my phone. Yeah, so not too sure that she would really enjoy that. A lot of our birds are solitary, and even though our vultures aren't, it's not really something that they commonly do to each other. We don't have any birds that really like signs of affection. They're primary reinforcers, the things that they like to work for and things that encourage the behaviors from happening again. And what we use to build trust is mostly food and enrichment. So I would say those are more of like the things that we do.
I want to point out her crop. So you see that big kind of bulging area right underneath her neck. So that's our crop, because that's a food storage system that a lot of birds, a lot of raptors have. So she, you can see it's kind of bulging out, and that's that meal that she just ate, and it's going to sit in the crop until it can travel down to her stomach. It's a way that birds can eat really large meals and not let anyone else eat it and be able to fly away. She wants to get super clean today.
Clearly, it probably feels good, I would assume.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we're gonna let you watch her for maybe about another minute or so, and then we're gonna sign off. She's definitely one of our more animated birds that we have. And you can see that crop that Kristen was talking about right there. I'm glad so many of you guys are saying that she's beautiful, because she definitely is. And we love vultures here. We love our native vultures as well, our black and turkey vultures. We definitely believe bald is beautiful, and they're very important for our environment. As some of you may know, they are our nature's garbage men. So they're constantly eating decaying things on the side of the road, out and about in our communities, and really keeping us from getting sick. So they can process all those things like rabies, botulism, anthrax, and eliminate them. Very important to have around, and a really great sign of a healthy ecosystem to have them around. All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in today. We will see you next week for another edition of Avian Home Adventures.